XRP community member Frecky, which was highlighted by Cointelegraph. There's an article. This is funny. I always find this stuff hilarious. All the people that wrote these stupid headlines about the end of crypto, this and that, all the obituaries, they've been dead wrong. And it is funny to look back on them from time to time. Here's a fun example. This is from CNBC, November 21st, 2018. It's titled, "If you took your brother-in-law's advice and bought Bitcoin last Thanksgiving, you lost big." And as Cointelegraph points out, Bitcoin was $8,205 the year before, so 2017, when the article came out, and it was $4,602 the day the article came out. So from Thanksgiving, roughly, the year before in 2017, it went from $8,205 all the way up to close to 20 grand, and then down to 4,602, and it didn't bottom until the next month. It bottomed on December 15th, closer to $3,200, and that was the low point for the cycle. But you know what happened after that, obviously. And so these articles to think that it's like, oh God, I guess I should have made the purchase. The type of short-term investor you must be to believe that. Woo! You ain't gonna get anywhere thinking like that. So this was shared by XRP community member Frecky. And Frecky has been in crypto since 2011. He's been working in finance career-wise for decades at this point. I'd say he's a wealth of knowledge. He definitely gets it. He is the epitome of hodler. Whether up, down, whatever the volatility is, it doesn't matter. He just keeps stacking. And here's what he had to say about this. Because, yeah, so that was an article about Bitcoin, but it's definitely true of XRP and many other coins, frankly. And so Frecky wrote the following. "Wait till you see XRP and H-bar zooming out. So many millionaires will be made. However, there will be 100 times more people who could have been a millionaire, but couldn't hold the crypto due to emotions, than forced to look back at what could have been, still working 9 to 5. And you know what? There's going to be a boatload of people that fall into that category, and it's sad. But those who have the intestinal fortitude to see this through and understand what they're doing, like, the opportunity is there. It isn't to say there's no risk. There's always substantial risk investing, in particular in crypto. That is true. Things can go wrong. But my God, the opportunity is real. It could not be more obvious. The reason that things, that you can invest a certain amount of money, which is, maybe subjectively not some crazy large amount of money, and then that can be turned into a vast fortune in a relatively short period of time. I understand why to outsiders that would sound like a scam. It's certainly not, though. It's because markets are illiquid. There's not that much money in crypto. So to get something to double or triple, quadruple, so on and so forth, it actually doesn't take that much money flowing in to get the returns. And it's just that the fact that this is a brand new asset class, and we haven't had a new asset class in hundreds of years at this point, something like that. It's been a long time. This is a brand new asset class. And so, yeah, since there's almost no money in it, it doesn't take much money. And so the people who were here early, they're making buku bucks. That doesn't make it a scam. I can understand why people fall for that. But anyway, the point is, it's still true for XRP and H-bar. There's way less money in XRP than Bitcoin, and that represents a tremendous opportunity. Couldn't be more obvious. And if you think the cycle's done just because we've been seeing some scary price action, I'm here to tell you, no, that's not remotely probable. So here's a post from chart analyst TechDev. He shared this with his 547,000 followers on X. 547,000. He's one of the more popular analysts in all of crypto. And he's showing this chart showing the price of Bitcoin up top, and then the business cycle here. And I understand that most people, if you're listening to this, you're probably like me, and you're not that excited about the price action of Bitcoin. But I'm still happy to follow it because the asset class moves in tandem, and I know if Bitcoin's doing well, ultimately XRP is going to follow. So the higher Bitcoin goes, the more money there will be to rotate into XRP and other altcoins that I hold. So still happy to follow this. But anyway, so TechDev's chart, it shows Bitcoin and the whole crypto market. It's all always tracked the business cycle. Okay, that is what it's done. Bitcoin and XRP, the entire crypto asset class, it tracks the business cycle, and the business cycle is the natural rhythm of the economy, basically. So it's made up of expansion, it's made up of peaks, it's made up of contraction and recovery. And so analysts measure it using things like global liquidity flows, for example. It's the reason I highlight Global M2 all the time on this channel. It's it's a measure of not just that though, but also interest rates, the U.S. dollar index, inflation, credit contractions. And so on this chart, the green and red bars reflect that cycle. That's what it's showing. You see how it ebbs and flows and then trends in one direction, then it goes back the other way. Well, the green equals expansion, so that'd be liquidity flowing, the bull ramp, and then red equals overheating. So that would be the parabolic stage blow off top. That would be when prices are higher. So it's like, even though, yes, you want the prices higher, and red usually means bad. So red means good in this situation. It's using it to indicate, obviously, yeah, there's some overheating going on here. But that does coincide with peak prices for Bitcoin and thus the entire crypto asset class. And so when you see declining red here, that's contraction. That's when you're entering the bear market. We're not even in the red yet. And so he has made this argument, as has Raoul Pal, that there's a reasonable chance that this cycle is going to lead into 2026, whether it's the first quarter or maybe even the second quarter. Now, it's only a minority of analysts that I follow that believe that's remotely probable. So TechDev's one, Raoul Pal's them, but the ones that are arguing this, they are some heavy hitters. They like some of the most well-respected, reputable, informed analysts in all of crypto. They definitely are. And so that's why, even though it's a minority opinion, sometimes minority opinions are correct. And since they're saying it, I'm listening and I'm sharing with you the potential for this to drag out that far. So I'm not saying I'm sold on it. I admit I don't know for sure what's going to happen. I'm along for the ride just like the rest of you. But either way, like, even if this speeds up and then we have this quick ramp and you get into the red part with the red bars here for the business cycle, either way, everyone agrees that I followed. All of them agree you're going to have that blow off top still. It's absolutely coming right now. And so there's all sorts of people, the smart money, they're just secretly hoarding. And I'll show you in a second, like behind the scenes, there are XRP whales just secretly hoarding, just being quiet about it. While on social media, the typical limiting retail speculators are running around like chickens with their heads chopped off. Like that's what's happening here. So anyway, right now the bars are still green on this chart, meaning liquidity is still expanding and the parabolic phase hasn't even started. I mean, at least not for the end phase, the final parabolic push. And so if history rhymes, yeah, the biggest fireworks for Bitcoin and XRP are still ahead. That's the truth. And so the smart money, they're secretly hoarding XRP behind the scenes. That is what's happening. Here's a post from Nick, Crypto Crusaders, one of the many analysts I follow, who accurately called XRP breaking out this market cycle. And he said, and by the way, he posted this this morning after the market started cratering to the downside. He posted this morning at 4:50 a.m. Central Time, which is my time zone. And he said, by the end of this year, there will be a lot of comments from those outside of crypto telling investors, you just got lucky. The price action we have experienced over the last 12 months is proof that this market is not made for everyone. There is no other market that has the amount of manipulation, volatility, liquidations, fearful headlines, peak negativity, FUD, and more than crypto. It's so important to understand why not everyone makes it in crypto. It's because of the price action. Our success in this market is built off of pure dedication, lack of emotions, ding, 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 lack of emotions, please be a robot, beep, boop, beep, and staying focused on what matters. We will experience the craziest bull run in history over the coming weeks, and even majority of the market participants are still in disbelief of this. Lock in. And folks, that's true. Whatever the limiting retail speculators think is going to happen, they're almost always wrong. And so I'm happy to see that they're in not that I want them to be in misery, but I'm happy to see that they are, because that is a sign that the best is yet ahead. Historically, that's just the case here. Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez. Posted this yesterday. Whales have bought 340 million XRP in the last 2 weeks. So think about this. Amidst all of this happening, everything that's occurred price-wise over the last couple of weeks, what's happening? Whales buying XRP on a massive scale. Absolutely massive scale. And this is happening at the same time that limiting retail speculators are panic selling. And all that's going to do is entice these whales to purchase even more. Because that's what happens every damn time. They are secretly hoarding behind the scenes, and your typical investor out there doesn't even know to look for this. Doesn't even know that this is happening. They have no idea what's happening in the background. They just feel things and then they act according to their emotions. Not the best way to invest, folks. Definitely not the best way to invest. So that's happening, but let me show you what else is happening. Broad adoption is still occurring despite certain individuals panic selling. Look at what has happened ever since the price of XRP started spiking and hit a new all-time high in the later half of July. Mind you, that was just over a month ago. We got to this point where, we had a peak where there was 10,279 accounts created on July 18th this year. And then you got back to some new level of normal where it was more like, 4,000 to maybe 5,000 new accounts created, plus or minus a little bit. But that's pretty normal. There's a random peak, and I am not sure. I try to figure out what caused this. There's an outlier instance on August 20th. Not sure. We had a spike to 9,000, but it looks like on average we're still getting between 4,000 to 5,000 new accounts created per day. That's the new normal. For context, if you go back here a year ago, on any given day, it was closer to about 1,000 new accounts created today. Per day, rather. It could be more like 800, it could be more like 1,200, but usually about 1,000. So you're talking about close to a 5-fold increase in new accounts created per day. There is way more interest in XRP, so some people are getting this, some people are accumulating. This is a very clear sign of that. There's a way higher interest in XRP now than there was a year ago, and we haven't even had the final blow-off top yet. Look at the way this is trending, folks. It's just going to keep trending up. And look at this. This is the rich list website for XRP. One of the things they highlight here is the historic wallet count for XRP. Look at this. Look at this thing. That's what this chart is right here. Look at that. We are now at 6.93 million wallets. That is just a crazy jump up. When I jumped into crypto in late 2017, there were less than 700,000. And it's not done. Like, you just wait. It's going to be way higher. I don't know what the number's going to be, but by the time this cycle's over, because you are going to see it like the biggest jumps in new accounts created when retail FOMO's in. It happens, every cycle you get these big spikes. This is going to be the biggest in history, I would guess. So I don't know how many new accounts we're going to get. I can tell you this though, in late 2017, when XRP started running, it was middle of December, until it peaked. It went from a little less than 700,000 accounts to just over 1 million in like a few weeks. Probably about 3 weeks, I guess. That's intense. So if that's what we did back then, like, what do you think it's going to be this time? Like, I'm telling you, folks, we are not done here. And take a look at this. Institutional money. Look at the inflows, folks. Look at these inflows. Just a 1 week period, $134 million. This coin, we were told for most of the last half a decade was dead and going to zero. Remember that? Well, just last week, $134 million flowing in, and XRP is number 3 in market cap. Suck it, you little bitches that said it was going to zero. You were wrong. Everything you said has aged like a fine milk. And I'd love to see it. And it was so obvious, And here we are. And so look at what's happening behind the scenes. All this optimism, the institutional money flowing in. I'm telling you, the big money expects big things to happen this cycle. It ain't done, folks. So yeah,